Welcome to What's Cooking with Chef Safiyat. I am Safiyat Hamis, and my business is Tasty Harvest, where I help you grow food at home through design, coaching, and caring for your garden. I also help kids grow food after school programs, and I love teaching how to cook. Today's recipe is from West Africa in Nigeria, northern Nigeria. It's called Dan Waake. It's actually a bean dumpling. So I thought to show you guys how to cook it because I had fun this summer cooking the recipe. I also had fun growing some beans. The beans that you use to make this recipe is black-eyed peas, and they grow it over there a lot and make so many recipes from black-eyed peas. And I learned that growing one seed or one bean to harvest, you do not get enough to make the recipe that I'm showing you here. You have to grow a lot. Beans, black-eyed peas, are grown in the warm season, and it takes about 90 to 100 days to harvest. So this recipe, Dan Waake, it's the name of the recipe actually mean little beans or son of beans, Dan Waake. The recipe, you could always mix and match whatever flour you have available. So not necessarily just black-eyed peas. You could use any legumes like chickpeas, lentils, kidney beans, as long as you have it in a flour form. So today I have chickpeas. That's what's relatively available to me. You could find it in most grocery stores. If you have an Indian grocery store nearby, that's the best place to go for it. It's a protein pack ingredient. Then I'm adding in some AP flour, which is all-purpose flour, to just give it some more texture. And then this flour here is the baobab leaf. It's actually originated also in Africa, West Africa. There's a bunch of the trees around. The tree is actually a large succulent that it absorbs water during the rain season in its trunk to save it for during the droughts in those areas. So the tree is also known as a tree of life because the whole tree is edible and it provides a lot of nutrients. So we added it into the Dan Waake to give it some more nutrients as well as the color. Then we have some baking soda. So normally for this recipe, it's called for kanwa. Kanwa is a potash and is a small rock, but it's not readily available around here. So baking soda does the same job. What baking soda does when you add to beans, it helps break down the natural gases that beans cause and also make it easy for you to digest. So we're adding that here. Then I have other ingredients that we're gonna garnish with it. So first I'm gonna make the dough. Here I have 2 cups of chickpea flour. The chickpea, so beautifully grind. And also, if you're not able to find any of these flour, you could use a coffee grinder and make your own. So if you get any drying beans and you want to make this recipe, you could do that. But it's easier to just buy from the store. Now this is 2 cups of flour here. You're going to add this. And then the baobab leaf powder is 2 tablespoons. So it's like 1-to-1 kind of thing. And then the baking soda, there's 2 ways of doing this. Normally they'll add the kanwa into the water to dissolve, but I like to add it directly to the flour because it's already a powder form, and mix it up. And then add water to eyeball it to get it to the right consistency. So we're gonna mix all this together. The funny thing about this dumpling, it's actually tasteless. It doesn't have much taste to it. What gives it more flavor is what we're gonna do after we make the dumpling. So here's the water, I mix it. I feel like it's already mixed very well. I'm gonna start adding water in the middle and try to make it into a dough. And this recipe, we were always excited when our grandmother said she was making it. She's gonna make it for us for lunch or dinner, because it wasn't made often. Even though it's so simple to be made at home, it was just considered like a special recipe. In northern Nigeria, though, it's more like a street food. So they'll sell it all over there like a quick snack. But to me, this is more like a meal, because dumplings, you could add it to soup, you could stir fry it, you could add it onto salad because of its protein pack from the beans. And also, it's vegan. So vegans will enjoy this recipe. If you're tired of just eating straight beans, this is another way to get your proteins and get some healthy foods in. So I added about 2 cups of water here. I'm gonna add a little bit more because I feel like we need a little bit more water here. So the way I learned this recipe was my grandmother was making it. And every time she needed to make it, she would send us, me and my cousins, to go to the farmer's market and actually get the ingredients. If there was no bean flour available, she actually sent us to the mill to get it grind. So that's what I was saying. You could get your own beans and grind it or mill it at home if you have that capability. So now that we have our dough done, we're gonna set it aside. And I'm gonna turn on have water here. We need boiling water, so I'm gonna turn it to boil. Then turn it on high. All right, so whilst that is boiling, I'm gonna start some oil. We're gonna fry some onions. So the dumpling is a very simple meal. It's the dumplings, fried onions in oil, and some yaji. The yaji here is spice. It's very spicy. It's a combination of ground nuts, so peanuts, flour, some spicy peppers, so like a chili or a habanero that was dried up, and then other herbs and spices in here that's mixed up. This spice is used in so many dishes. So for sauteing meats or making like kebabs. So it's also called as suya. Suya is a kebab known in that region. And this is what's going to give it the flavor and make this dumpling a great meal to have. So it's just three things, and everything else that we're going to add is just to add more color, to add make the meal more enjoyable with vegetables and stuff. So I also have nasturtiums here that we're going to add in. I grew this in my garden this season, and this is an edible flower. Has a nice peppery flavor to it, so it'll go well with the spicy flavor that we have, the yaji. I also have some chives that we're gonna garnish with it. And then if you wanna added protein, I have some hard-boiled eggs that we could pair it up with. All right, so I'm gonna get this pan going. I'm gonna put it on high. Once it heat up, I'll be using this olive oil. It's Zaze olive oil made from Turkey. It's actually my friend's company, Laura Koresh. She has worked very hard on this, and flavor is really, really good. This is pure olive oil. In this dish, you could use any oil. Sometimes they use zaytun oil, which is olive oil, groundnut olive oil, or peanut oil, canola oil, so whatever you have available. But I thought this will give it another flavor. Not all oils, olive oils are used for cooking. But this is the Premier Select Extra Virgin Olive Oil. And this is what she recommends for cooking. Look at that beautiful color. So we're gonna just cook down some onions to add another flavor using the whole bottle. We're making a lot of dumplings here. All right, so I'm gonna move this to the side, and we're gonna chop up some more onions. So the onions, normally, there's more red onions and shallots in West Africa. That's the variety that growing up, that I've seen the most. So that's why we use this red onions. But you could use any onions, sweet onions, any onions would do. West Africa, most of our recipes, you could always substitute whatever you have available. So like today, I needed black-eyed pea flour, but we're using chickpeas. And it comes out just as the original recipe anyways. Cutting onions, you always wanna have your hands in the seam so that you don't cut your fingers, and then just go in nose first from the knife and down. Another trick, if onions make you cry a lot, what you could do is cut them in water. So you will have to hold the onions. This is how I learned how to cut onions, this way. We didn't have chopping boards. We cut it like this in our hands. This was our chopping board. So we used to have like a big container of water, and then just put your hand underwater with the onions, and then slice it like this. That's how we cut. And then our finger here was the guide. And you don't go all the way deep that you cut your finger. So it's very safe. It looks dangerous, but it's safe. All right, now that the oil, as we could hear it, is bubbling, is getting hot, I have some onions already. We're gonna add this in there. And I'm gonna put it on low because I don't want us to lose all those nutrients. We're gonna stir it and let it brown. So we're gonna just keep an eye on it. We're waiting for oil, waiting for the water to boil so we could start dropping in the dumplings. So it's a very simple meal. You could do it, you could make a batch and keep it in the fridge for a quick snack or a quick add-on to any of your meals. The dough actually doesn't really need to sit. I just put it aside because I wanted to make sure I get the onion frying. But as soon as you make it, and if you have boiling water already, you could start dropping it in there. Some people like to use a spoon to take it out, make the little balls or dumplings. I like to use my fingers because that's what my grandmother did. That's how I know. I'm gonna get some water so I have my fingers moist. So now that our water is boiling, we're gonna start making our dumplings. All right, so you're using your hands, or you could use a spoon to just take a little bit, but I'm using my hands. And you see the texture, kind of a pool, stretchy. That's what you're looking for. They're just gonna drop a little bit in there, and then we're gonna keep on dropping till we're done. And you could do it any shape you want. You want to do it smaller sizes or bigger sizes, is up to you. And then it's gonna boil for 10 to 15 minutes. It may vary on your stove. So once it floats up, it's gonna start cooking, and then from there, it's about 15 minutes. You leave it boiling, or till it tastes like it's done. So you take one after 10 minutes and taste it. I didn't add any salt to it, but there's some people, they like to flavor their dumplings, so you could do that. For me, cooking, you could always change flavors, experiment and see what you like. But this is how it's done from the Hausa people in northern Nigeria. So it could be like a fun activity to do, or a fun meal with your kids. They could make these dumplings with you. It could be a whole family affair thing. Everybody just grabbing some and just dropping it in the boiling water. And then you enjoy. So in West Africa, there's so many recipes made out of beans, from using the flour, like in this recipe, but the beans itself, there's so many recipes that we use it with. And high in fiber, high in protein. If you don't have, money for any animal protein, like, beef or meats, chicken or anything, you could just have this. So you're gonna let it boil for 15 minutes. I'm just gonna stir it a little bit. The chunks I put smaller, but they got swollen up. They look bigger, which is nice. It'll give it a nice bite texture. I'm gonna add a few more. All right, it's boiling up. If it doesn't boil over, it tends to do that. It tends to boil over. So you always want to use a bigger pot to make these Dan Waake. I'm just going to continue to cook. So they're all floating up. They're cooking well. Nothing is in the bottom. It reminds me of like gnocchi. Gnocchi is made with potatoes. So it just remind me like dumplings around the world is almost all similar, just different ingredients. So in West Africa, beans are readily available there, so that's why I guess this recipe came to be. So how do you know that it's done? You have to taste it. So I'm going to take one and try it. Like it's cooked. I'm just going to take a piece. It's tasteless, so I'm not looking for flavor, but I'm just looking for if the beans and the flour doesn't have that raw flavor. It has a little bit, so I'm going to let it cook for the remainder of 5 minutes. And to flavor it, like the yaji, that's one of the stars of the of flavoring the Dan Waake. But you could use so many other flavoring. You could have stews. So in West Africa, we're big in tomato stew. The stew that we use to make jollof rice. So you could use that, or you could put them in the soups. Or for here, what I see this dumpling being eaten with is you could use pasta sauce. So you could just have pasta sauce, which you have your protein and you have a nice sauce like a gnocchi. You could also have it in soup. So if you have chicken noodle soup and you just want to add more protein to it, you could add this to that. So this bean dumpling, you could add wherever you think you need more protein and more nutrients to add in your diet. This is a simple recipe that you could do. So today we're gonna pair Dan Waake with some salad. You could use it as, you could eat it with just plain salad added on top of the salad, or as a side dish with the salad, or you could even have it as a soup, add in all the ingredients into a bowl. So today we're just gonna pair it up with the salad to make the dish healthy, add more nutrients to it. I'm gonna chop up some more ingredients. So I'm gonna chop up some more cucumbers to add on here. And the dressing for this salad, we don't have any dressing. We're just gonna use the spicy yaji that we're gonna add into the Dan Waake to give it that spicy flavor. But you don't have to do that. You could eat it with some dressing. We also have olive oil that we could just drizzle on top. Tomatoes. We're just gonna add some tomatoes here. And you could add any type of tomatoes. This is a plum tomato, but you could add cherry tomatoes to it. Anything that you have. Anything you have in your fridge, you could use to just add it and garnish your dish. Or make a side meal of it like we are doing today with the salad. People that can't handle spice, you could just add some acidic, like a lime or a lemon, and it'll drive the spice level down. So this dumpling, they look cooked. They look done. They look nice. I like the sizes. Tastes good. It tastes like nothing, but it tastes good. All right, so I'm gonna turn this off, and then we're gonna strain this in the sink. We're gonna dump this in there. right, so now we're at the fun stage of this recipe. Our dumplings are done. We're gonna add our yaji. So this is where you flavor it. You could just do salt and pepper and then add some oil, mix it up. So we just sprinkle as much as we want, because this is where all the flavor is. In my party here, everyone loves spice, so we're gonna add as much as we want here. And then this beautiful olive oil with the fried onions. We're gonna put some oil sprinkled on top and then add the onions in there. And this adds another level of flavor. So we're building up flavor here. And I'll add some more. So then, normally you serve it to a big family. When I was growing up with my grandmother, there was 10 of us, 9 other cousins, and my siblings all included. So she'll have it in a big bowl, and then we'll just take from here. Sometimes she mixed it up, so I'm gonna mix it up, and then we serve. Another thing that I see that you could add here, you could add any of the over-the-shelf seasoning, like adobo seasoning or lemon pepper seasoning. So any flavor you like, you could add in here to build up the flavor. I'm gonna put some of the salad in the bottom to just give it some color. So I'll put it like this. And what you do is you just pick whatever you like to add to your dumplings. If you add in like a salad, I'm gonna put dumpling on top. The Dan Waake. And then I'm gonna use this handy dandy tool to chop up some of my chives that I grew in my garden. And this scissors, it's a herb scissors, just chop multiple at once. So you don't have to chop, with a single scissor, or there's a whole bunch. I also have the edible flower nasturtium here that we could add here to just add some color. We have an egg. We could leave the egg like that, but I love to slice it. So I have this cool tool, egg slicer, that we're gonna use. And there we have it, Dan Waake. And I hope you are able to make this at home and be creative in the kitchen. Add it to your soups or your salad like this, or stews, or stir fry it, however you want to. Try to eat some more legumes, black-eyed peas, chickpeas, lentils. Once again, thank you for joining me.